Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus released last year on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, and it received major critical acclaim, boasting multiple awards from various outlets. Bethesda has been a huge proponent of bringing third-party AAA titles to Nintendo Switch. Hired by Bethesda and following the Rocket League and Doom ports for Switch, the porting geniuses at Panic Button take a swing at possibly their most ambitious port yet, and for the most part, they knocked it out of the park. To get the obvious out of the way, content-wise, this is the same Wolfenstein 2 experience that's been available on other platforms since late last year. The quality of the game has been no secret for quite some time. Expect the same enthralling story, memorable moments, brilliant writing, and incredible characters. Nothing is left out of the Switch package. It has been rare throughout years that dark and brooding titles like Wolfenstein 2 release on Nintendo platforms, so I'm glad Bethesda is bringing more mature experiences to Nintendo's latest console. You might be curious how the game stacks up on Switch. Well, let's jump in. As I'm sure you expected, Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus for Switch doesn't look or run as good as it does on rival platforms. It does, however, run at 30 frames per second and showcases some of the best realistically styled graphics that we've seen on Nintendo Switch thus far. Lighting effects and detailed environments had me impressed more than once, and another thing worth noting is that effects work, motion blur, and particle systems all seem to be present and look pretty much on par with other versions. I will say though, some areas look better than others depending on how open the setting is. Larger areas look a bit worse than enclosed sections. It's pretty obvious that Wolfenstein 2 is giving the Switch hardware a run for its money. The Nintendo Switch version of Wolfenstein 2 allows you to use motion controls. I tested out gyro aiming with the Switch Pro controller and found it mildly amusing for a while, but couldn't keep playing that way for a long time without getting annoyed. During cutscenes, you have to make sure you don't move the controller at all, or else your camera will start moving everywhere whenever you don't want it to. The game is just a bit too fast-paced in my opinion, and it's hard to play with motion controls without feeling disorienting. Although I am happy that they are offering this option for people who enjoy motion aiming. Overall, textures and resolution take a hit and look a bit more watered down and blurry than other versions of Wolfenstein 2. But luckily, I never ran into any jarring graphical glitches or bugs. Every so often, the frame rate would start to chug, and then after a few seconds, things would start to run smoothly again. Then, sometimes enemies would fall through large debris on the ground as if it wasn't there. However, those types of instances would also happen in the PS4 and Xbox One versions. One thing is clear, in terms of hardware, the leap between consoles isn't as drastic as it used to be. During the Wii 360 PS3 generation, not only would they alter Wii versions of M-rated games to include less graphic content, but they would usually look much worse in comparison to those other versions. Those days are in the past, and now Nintendo's latest hardware can play most of the games other platforms can without an unbearable graphical sacrifice. Plus, the censorship is also gone, so hooray for that. So the critiques I have about the game outside of the quality of the port, while the gunplay is a lot of fun initially, it starts to lose some of its fun factor after a while, and lastly, sometimes the pacing felt a bit off. Undocked mode, or handheld, is where things really take a hit graphically. The resolution looks far below 720p on the Switch's screen. I haven't gotten any confirmation from Bethesda or Panic Button about the actual resolution, but playing in handheld mode isn't really ideal. Things look really blurry during fast-paced action, and it's hard to tell what's going on. However, some areas are noticeably easier to see in than others. Also, keep in mind I was playing the game before the official release, so there could possibly be a day one patch that fixes things a bit, but presumably nothing drastic. If you can see in the video review right now, I'm showing you the difference between undocked and docked, and it's pretty apparent that the dock mode looks a lot better. But handheld mode aside, I'm ecstatic that more developers are successfully finding ways to get AAA PS4 and Xbox One games running on Switch, and I would consider that quite the technical achievement. It's incredible what these devs were able to squeeze out of the Switch to get Wolfenstein 2 running on it. I'm curious to see what game Panic Button will tackle next. I personally would love to see a version of Fallout 4 running on the Switch hardware in the near future, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus for Nintendo Switch packs the same brilliant punch as it did on other platforms. Blasting your way through Nazis and experiencing a fantastic story with some of the most wonderfully written characters is an impressive and memorable experience. While portable mode let me down, playing docked is at a standard that allows an enjoyable time. Thanks a lot for watching. Are you a fan of Bethesda's other games? Well, be sure to check out our Skyrim review that's on the screen right now, or one of our other reviews that may interest you. Thanks a lot, guys. I will talk to you later.